What's up, guys? This is Anime Love again. You guys can see I got the Mob Psycho hat on. What? Representing Mob Psycho, but it's not in my top 5 because they don't got a movie. I am going to be going over my top 5 anime movies. Okay? So, to me, anime movies and anime TV shows are two different things because TV shows have an abundant amount of episodes to introduce characters, show their backstory, build them up, do all of these fight scenes. But with a movie, you have far less time. I want to give the movies their due credit. This is my top 5 anime movies, and we're going to go from number 5 all the way down to number 1. Okay? So, number 5 for me is going to be Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone. Now, a lot of you might be like, huh? Like, bro, what do you... Some of you probably don't even know what that is. Because I'm going to be 32 now. And I grew up on Dragon Ball Z. Like, even the early stuff. And I think a lot of people are now really into Dragon Ball Super. So when Dragon Ball Z was the arc or the series at the time for Toei, I believe it is, they made movies to entertain the fans as well. And one of these movies was Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone. And I think this was the first introduction to Garlic Jr. It was just a phenomenal movie. The fight scenes in it were so good. And that's one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of Dragon Ball Z as opposed to... I mean, I gotta be honest, I haven't really watched Dragon Ball, but just based off of the images that I've seen, the animation just looks lackluster to me, so I never was intrigued enough to watch it. But definitely as opposed to Dragon Ball GT or Dragon Ball Super, I really enjoyed Dragon Ball Z because in the early days, Dragon Ball Z, the fight scenes were a little bit more realistic. Don't get me wrong, they were still out there as far as what they were capable of doing, but they were a little bit more grounded, so to speak. I mean that kind of figuratively and literally. And when I say grounded, I mean like they would kind of fight karate style traditionally, you know, like on the ground. I feel like nowadays when you watch Dragon Ball Super, whether it's the movie, Dragon Ball Super Broly, or the show, a lot of their fights are taking place in the sky, and a lot of the times you can't even see what they're doing. I'm just not a big fan of it, man. It's just really far-fetched to me. It just doesn't seem authentic, right? The Dragon Ball Z, the old school stuff, man, it just seemed a little bit more realistic, a little bit more true to Kung Fu, so to speak. And I really enjoyed that movie. I thought that Goku and Piccolo were really cool. This is when Goku and Piccolo were rivals. That's when Piccolo, he wasn't a cheerleader like how he is now. Piccolo could bang with Goku, and they were on like the same level. Piccolo was a beast, bro. So I really miss those days. And Piccolo used to look out for Gohan a lot. I miss that. I mean, he still looks out for him, but it was kind of a beautiful relationship because it was kind of a forbidden relationship that Piccolo had, but he didn't want to have. Like, he liked Gohan and he just saw the good in him and wanted to protect him. But at the same time, Piccolo was like, this is my rival son. Like, I shouldn't even like this kid, but I just care about him. Goku, that's when Goku was just real nasty with it, bro. Again, just they kind of stayed a little true to like authentic Kung Fu at that time. Don't get me wrong, they could still kind of fly and do a few other things, but they didn't. The whole battle wasn't just them flying and doing Superman punches at each other and stuff. You know, it was just way better back then to me. Garlic Jr.'s henchmen, those three in that movie were fucking badass, bro. Those are the original OGs. I love those henchmen, bro. They were so cool, and I love all the things that they could do. They could pull swords out of their... Oh my... It was so good, dude. It was so good. Garlic Jr. was really cool. That's when they first introduced him, and they showed that even though he's this tiny little guy, when he gets upset and when he's ready to show what he can do, he turns into that massive giant. And I just really enjoyed it. Now, I will say this. I will say the end fight, it started off good, but I do feel like the animation started to get a little less quality towards the end of the movie, like of the last fight scene with Goku and Piccolo versus Garlic Jr. But nonetheless, it was still a really good movie. Most of the animation throughout the whole movie was really good. And yeah, I just prefer the Dragon Ball Z. I thought that Dragon Ball Super Broly was kind of good, but I'm just not a really big fan of all these transformations that Goku and Vegeta have. I mean, they go Super Saiyan, and now Super Saiyan is basically shit. And then their hair turns red, and then it turns blue, and then they fuse, and it's just too much going on, bro. It's too much for me. I'm a simple guy. I just kind of like when they kept things simple. I really felt like, you know, Super Saiyan was fine. I really don't feel like they really needed to push it beyond that. But I also feel like they should have ended Dragon Ball Z a lot sooner than what they did. I wasn't... Well, yeah, we'll get into the show later. So, number 5 for me is going to be Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone. That is my 5th out of my top 5. So, now... my number 4 pick is going to be The Legend of Hay. Now, again, I'm sure a lot of you are probably like, what is that? Let me tell you guys something, bro. I'm very picky when it comes to my anime. I'm a really big action guy. So, like all these other animes that have little to no action, it's not for me. But I have found some pretty good diamonds in the rough, and The Legend of Hay is one of those. So The Legend of Hay, I believe it's a Chinese animation, but it's so, for one, the animation in it is amazing. Fight scenes, amazing. It's so good, dude. You could totally tell they had some money behind this movie. Not like a crap ton, but they had some money behind it for sure. I gotta be honest, I'm not too educated on Chinese gods and warriors and stuff like that, but it has to do with, I think, gods and spirituality and things of that nature, but the action scenes in it are so good. It's kind of even got a little bit of like Avatar elements to it. As you guys can see, I have the Legend of Korra right here. I'm a really big fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender and the Legend of Korra. So the whole being able to bend and manipulate the elements, earth, wind, fire, water. Yeah, like there's a lot of that going on. Some of them have those kind of powers, and it's so well done. It's so well done. I don't want to spoil it, and I would like to do a movie review about it, so I don't want to get too much into it, but just trust me when I tell you that The Legend of Hay is a really good movie, and no doubt that it's in my top 5. So, we'll go on to number 3. Number 3 in my top 5 anime is going to be Princess Mononoke. So, I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with Studio Ghibli, but this is a Studio Ghibli movie. And in my opinion, this is their best movie. This is the only movie of Studio Ghibli that I own. Most of their other movies are very, I dare to say, depressing. They're good, but they're just super depressing or slow. They have other movies and they've gotten awards for a lot of their movies and stuff, but the rest of their other movies, they don't necessarily have action. They're more so just really good storytelling. But again, I'm an action junkie. I need some fight scenes somewhere in my movies, and Princess Mononoke is one of their only movies that have really good action scenes. And again, I want to do a movie review for Princess Mononoke, so I'm not going to elaborate on it. However, Princess Mononoke, God, again, the action scenes are so good. I just cannot stress how good that, and the story is really good too. Very beautiful story. Very spiritual as well. So, Princess Mononoke is number 3 for me. I wish I could say a little bit more about it, but again, I want to leave that for my movie review for it. It's just a really good movie. Very good story. Beautiful moments. Very good action scenes. I will admit it could use a little bit more action, but there's enough in there to keep a person content, I believe. And when it does happen, it gets... Studio Ghibli did a really good job about building up the like you could just feel like, oh shit, something's about to go down, so it's a really good movie. Princess Mononoke is in my top 5 at number 3. So now we're gonna get into my number 2 anime movie in my top 5, and that is gonna be none other than My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. Get it straight. Okay, because My Hero Academia actually has 3 movies out. And those are My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, My Hero Academia Heroes Rising, and My Hero Academia World something. World something. They just came out with a 3rd. I don't know the exact name of it. And to be honest, the reason I don't know the exact name of it is because I don't want to do a spoiler, for my movie review for it. But to be honest with you, bro, it's not really that good in my opinion. And I really like number 1, and I love number 2, obviously, because it's number 2 in my top 5. But number 3 just didn't do it for me, bro. But anyway, I'm digressing. Let me get back on My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. Guys, that movie was so freaking good. It was so good. I was so intrigued the whole way through. I thought that they had a really good antagonist in it. He was interesting. I was interested in all the powers that he had. He looked cool. One of his henchmen were kind of cool, but the other ones were kind of lackluster. Don't get me wrong. This movie has its flaws for sure, but for the most part, it was definitely good. I also really love this movie because there is this great dynamic between Izuku Midoriya and Bakugo, and how they basically break down the barriers that they have for one another and they work as a team. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's wonderful. It gives you butterflies. And then that leads me up into my next main thing about this movie that makes it number 2 in my top 5 for me is the very last fight scene, guys. The very last fight scene is literally one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen in my life in anime. It's one of. It's not the, but it is one of. It's just so well done. The imaging, the colors, the music. Let me tell you guys, there was a beautiful song in this movie that they put over the fight scene. They kind of like muted the volume of the fight scene and they just put a song over it. And, you know, some people would probably think that, oh man, that's probably takes away from the fight scene. But no, you guys, it did not take away from the fight scene. It actually made it 1,000 times better. And I want to give credit where credit is due. The song that they put over the fight scene is called Might You by Michaela Phillips. It was a beautiful song. It went with the fight scene perfectly. Guys, by the time I watched the movie, when I first saw it, right, and I saw that last fight scene, I was so inspired. Like, I don't know what I was inspired to do, but it was just so amazing. Like, it was just inspirational. It just made you feel like this is just greatness. And I just want to be a part of the greatness, I guess. It was just weird. And I felt, you know, emotional, but I didn't cry or anything. But then I was telling my wife, I'm like, babe, you got to watch this, babe. You got to watch, man, this end scene. And so her and I think later the next day at night, her and I laid down and watched it. And I had just watched it the previous day, but I was still loving every moment of it, especially because I knew she hadn't watched it. So a lot of the times I caught myself looking over, seeing what her reactions were and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that. And dude, even she, when the last fight scene came up, she started crying. But I'm not even going to front, guys. I'm not even going to front. I actually teared up in the end fight scene the second time. I teared up, bro. It was so good. I don't know what it is. There's just something about the music and the fight scenes and what they're doing and the imagery and stuff. It's so artistic. It's so beautiful. It's an amazing thing to watch. So if you have not seen My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, do yourself a favor and definitely watch that. You will not be disappointed. And let me bring on one more fact. I was so inspired by that end fight scene that I had never painted anything in my life, bro. But I was so inspired by it that I wanted to draw a scene from that fight scene and paint it. So, because it was so colorful, right? The scenes, I was like, just sketching this is not going to do it justice. I want to bring the image to life by adding color to it. And that's exactly what I did. And that is what you guys are seeing right there. That is an image from My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. That is a drawing / painting that I did because I was just so inspired by the movie. And I wanted to do it. So great movie, phenomenal. As you guys can see, I'm very passionate about it. So that is my number 2 out of my top 5 anime movies, My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. All right. So lastly, number 1 on my top 5 anime movies. I bet you guys can't guess what it's gonna be. I'll give you a second. I'll give you 6 seconds. All right, time's up. Had your time to guess. So my number one is gonna be Sort of a Stranger. But again, I bet you guys are like, what, bro? What are you talking about, bro? Like, what you talking about? For one, if you ain't watched them, don't knock it, because you can't knock it if you ain't tried it, right? And I'm telling you, this movie is great, bro. It's called Sword of a Stranger. So, I know you just heard me talk so great about the end fight scene from My Hero Academia Hero Rising. And it is, again, one of the top fight scenes I've ever seen. However, Sort of a Stranger has another one of those top fight scenes that anime has ever produced. I don't want to sit here and say it is the best one, because there's a lot of great ones out there. I will admit that. But again, we're talking about anime movies, not anime shows. There's a big difference. Okay? We'll go over my top 5 for the anime shows, TV series another time. Right now we're talking about movies. And as far as movies are concerned, this is one of the best. I mean, throughout the whole movie, for one, the animation does not decrease in quality at all. All throughout the movie, you are getting top tier animation. The characters are on point. The fight scenes are on point. The music is on point. The heaviness for the scenes is on point. It's such a great movie. And the last fight scene, bro, two sword masters going at it, and bro, you wouldn't think that they could showcase the sword skills that they did in an anime, but bro, they did. Like, the sword skills were amazing. Oh my god, it was such a good movie. Again, good story, very heartfelt. But again, I'm a big action junkie, bro, and there was plenty of action in this movie. And oh, it was just so good. It was so freaking good. Sword of a Stranger is number one on my top 5. So let's go ahead and recap. My top 5 is Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone, Legend of Hay, Princess Mononoke, My Hero Academia Heroes Rising, and Sword of a Stranger. That is Anime Love's top 5 anime movies.
It's a wrap. Give me that. We think he's a fucking genius. You the one, Jerry. You the one, baby.
As of now. Now, things could change. Obviously, more movies come out, so on and so forth, and another one could get produced that's really great. But so far, out of all the anime movies that are out, those are really good. Now, of course, there's honorable mentions. There's plenty of other anime movies out there that are really good. I guess I could give you guys a couple of honorable mentions. You know, they're not my top 5, but they're honorable mentions. Ninja Scroll movie, that was really good. Trigun movie, Deadlands or Badlands or something like that, really good. Another Dragon Ball Z movie, Dragon Ball Z Tree of Might, Dragon Ball Z The World's Strongest. There's a lot of, I'm telling you guys, I used to fuck with Dragon Ball Z really hard. And another good honorable mention, this will probably be the last one, Neja. Neja was a really good movie. Really good movie. So, again, that's my top 5 anime. movies, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you agree with those, if you're familiar with those, if you are familiar with those, tell me what you think about those movies or my top 5. Like, let's get a conversation going, man. I love talking about anime, and I would love to chat about it with you guys in the comment section. Okay, so all right, I'll see you guys later. And if you like this video, please press like. If you want to hear more about anime and stuff like that, leave it in the comments, and I'll make more anime. I'm gonna make more, but I'll make it quicker if you guys are really wanting it that bad. And again, yeah, press subscribe if you want to watch more. Hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload it. But all right, guys, that is it for me. Have a good one.